We're here in Doha for the 5th edition of the Qatar Economic Forum, where I caught up with Turkish Finance Minister Mehmet Simsek. We spoke about the current challenges the global economy is facing, as well as the untapped investment opportunities within Turkey. First of all, thank you very much for speaking to TRT World. I want to start with your participation in the Qatar Economic Forum, which was held under the theme of transforming the global economy. What were some of your key takeaways of this event?
Well, the world economy is faced with huge uncertainties, starting with trade fragmentation, but global economic policy uncertainty has been a major issue. So I think Qatar Economic Forum, in that sense, is one of the best venues to discuss both short-term and long-term structural headwinds, but also opportunities. So there was not only talk of, uncertainty, challenges, or problems. There was a fair bit of conversation on opportunities and working together to address some of these challenges. So that would be the broad theme. Qatar has been a very constructive player, and doing its best to address some conflicts in the region. It's a very, strong soft power base here. So the forum has been very, very productive in that sense. Also, it gives you opportunity to have a lot of bilateral meetings. Typically, you would have to travel a lot to meet so many people. So I think it's, within 2 or 3 days, you end up covering a lot of grounds, learning a lot. And it's been great. I mean, in addition to a number of official bilateral meetings, I've had quite a few engagements with business community. Yesterday, Qatar Chamber of Industry hosted us, and we had a very, long interactive session about business opportunities in Turkey, global challenges, how we can work together in third countries. Similarly, today, I'm sure you've seen there was a very large quality crowd, again, organized by one of the Turkish business associations. So we've had a fair bit of bilateral as well as, opportunity to address big investor crowds.
Right, and Turkey and Qatar have long enjoyed strong bilateral ties. Can we expect to see more economic cooperation in the near future?
Absolutely. Look, I mean, political relations are excellent, but, we have not yet broadened and deepened economic and trade ties to reflect that. So I think there is huge untapped opportunity here, bilaterally, both in Qatar and in Turkey, but also, joining forces together in third countries. So I do see a significant upside. As we implement our 3-year program and make Turkey more predictable, more investable, I'm sure there'll be stronger investor interest from GCCs, in particular from Qatar. But at the same time, Qatar is trying to diversify away from hydrocarbons. And that's a very important initiative, and it includes a lot of opportunities. So that's why, under the leadership of President Erdogan, this new development road project came about. It will connect the Persian Gulf to Turkey, and through that, through Middle Corridor, all the way to China, to United Kingdom. So connectivity is important. I think these type of events, again, gives us the opportunity to also tell our story, tell the narrative because a lot of time perception based on headlines don't do the justice. So again, we have huge untapped potential. And I think these type of occasions are good to broaden and deepen our ties. And I think this meeting was one of them.
These are some major developments. And speaking of investment, Turkey has continued to receive foreign direct investment despite global headwinds. Do you see this trend continuing?
Yes, I mean, over the past 2 decades, thanks to macroeconomic stabilization, thanks to very strong economic performance, the sheer size of domestic market, it's close to 90 million population, with a per capita GDP of over $15,000. That makes Turkey a very large market. It's a growing market, great infrastructure, huge talent, quality talent. And so when you look at it, I think there's a compelling case for why investment into Turkey should continue. Let me just give you just one data point. If you go back all the way to 80s and 90s, the amount of FDI inflows into Turkey, throughout that long period, it was only $15 billion. But over the past 2 decades, 2.5 decades, Turkey has attracted about $280 billion of foreign direct investments. We believe that Turkey's potential to attract FDI is much higher. Inflation got in the way over the past decade, but we're now addressing it. So with macroeconomic stabilization, with reforms that will unlock Turkey's potential, I think the case for increased FDI inflows will be compelling. But of course, we have to continue to improve and put our house in order.
And
there's a lot of competition for FDI.
Definitely, yes. And in neighboring Syria, you've mentioned that the US lifting sanctions is huge in terms of geopolitics. How far will this go in helping bring the country back to its feet? And what would Turkey's role be in this?
Well, first of all, political unity, stability, peace, and therefore prosperity in Syria is in region's interest, is in Turkey's interest, and actually it's a global public good. Because when you have conflict, when you have disorder, it's bad for everyone, in particular for the neighborhood. So geopolitics, including the problems in Syria, have been a big drag on Turkey. But now that Syria is on a path of peace, security, stability, and prosperity, that's good news for Syrian people, but it's also good news for Turkey and the region. The United States made the right decision because we need to support the stabilization of Syria. We need to help Syria combat terror, but we need to help Syria achieve its political unity, its territorial integrity, and therefore this leading to better prosperity for all. And Turkey is ready to help in any way possible. We've been very supportive, and we continue to advocate, Syrian territorial integrity, tolerance, diversity, respect for diversity, and of course, creating an ecosystem that will help Syria to prosper. As I said, that on its own would be a huge gain for humanity.
Mr. Mehmet Simsek, Finance Minister of the Republic of Turkey, thank you very much once again for speaking to us.
Thank you.